Welcome back everyone to the channel. I just want to say I appreciate you guys being here for just a couple minutes of your day. I appreciate you guys. This is a book review of Winter Moon by Dean Koontz. I read this book in about 2 days. It's 300 and some odd pages. I love Dean Koontz. I think Dean Koontz is he's arguably becoming one of my favorite writers currently. Like he's one of my favorite authors, like without a doubt. Like this man writes some good, scary crap. Like I didn't know. And that's the thing. I have so many of his books because my mom gave them to me when she moved, and she just gave me a bunch of his books. Every single one of his books, I have no knowledge about any of them, and that's what I really like. Arguably, I've been reading more of him, and I've been reading less of like Stephen King, and I actually like him more than Stephen King. He does do things in all of his books that are very repetitive. I swear, this man is just obsessed with golden retrievers. You guys would understand if you like read his books that every book, I swear, if there's a golden retriever in it, if there's a dog, always a golden retriever, like without a doubt. Anyways, we're going to talk about Winter Moon. I'm not going to go into spoilers because I kind of want you guys to know what's like. Obviously, read this book because this book is great. I haven't complained about one. This one, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars before we really dig into it. Currently, this book, you start out with a man named Jack and his partner Luther. They are cops in LA, and you start out with them at a gas station, and they talk about, for one, he really sets in the tone of gang members, violence in LA, just how LA is. And this is during probably late 80s, early 90s, so the drugs part was going pretty strong, most likely in LA. I wouldn't know. I wasn't alive yet.
No way!
What happens is him and his partner get attacked by this man who was drugged up, and he shoots up the whole place, and Jack gets shot in the lungs and thigh, and then he has to go through surgery, and he might not make it, but he does end up making it. I mean, I kind of figured that much. Well, not really. I didn't really know, because then you go into another thing in Montana with another character named Eduardo. Now, Eduardo, I was interested to know what's going on with this. I was like, I'm like, okay, so something's going to happen to Jack, and these guys are going to meet. Well, sort of. We're not going to go too deep, but some weird supernatural stuff is happening to Eduardo out in Montana this whole time. While I was reading, I'm like, how are these going to correspond to one another? Because it's about 160 pages until you're like, oh, okay. And then the second half of it is dialed up to about 100, and it's just very fast paced, and just a lot of things happen. Like, I read the first half of this book yesterday, and then I read the second half of this book today, and I loved it. I'm a big fan of Dean Koontz. But with this whole book, I think it's a really fun thing because you get to be on the side with Jack, Heather, and Toby. And at the beginning of this book, when Jack is dealing with getting shot and recovering, Heather lost her job back in October, and they are like, oh man, we are in need of money because we're not going to be able to cover everything, and so on and so forth. So they're just stressing about so many things of real life things. Well, Eduardo's just out in Montana at his house, and some weird supernatural stuff is going on. Like there's like a dark door, and it's just, there's a lot going on in this book with one side, and then the other side, you just go back to reality of, I mean, granted, this isn't like a normal thing that happens every day, but it is just fascinating just seeing back and forth. And the way that Dean Koontz writes characters, I really do enjoy. A lot of people always talk about how like Stephen King writes kids really well. I actually can argue that I think Dean Koontz also writes kids really well. I just don't think people read Dean Koontz as much because Stephen King has obviously released more popular novels during his run compared to Dean Koontz. But I like Dean Koontz a lot, and I plan on reading more of his books. I don't sit there and just like pile on his TBR because, like I said, I have a lot of his books. I just gradually read them once in a while. They're great standalones, and he has a couple series I haven't dived in yet. All in all, this was a fun book. Winter Moon was a great read, and it was a little creepy. He's very, very good at writing creepiness in books, no matter what. He's very, very good. Like every single one of his books, there's a few things that are very repetitive almost. One of the characters is always a cop. 2, golden retrievers, and I'm assuming this dude just loves golden retrievers. That's just my assumption. Now the cop part, I'm not sure. I haven't really looked up anything with him. I just like reading his books, and that's about it. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out all my socials down below. And of course, make sure you guys stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.